Hi everyone, hope you're well. There's no background noise at the moment, so I'm hoping everything's okay. But I am a little bit worried that our little monkey was out there jumping on the trampoline earlier and said over the fence to this side. Have you been putting up with that annoying music from our neighbours as well? Really loudly. And Claire and I died a little inside and ushered him in for his dinner. Oh my God, he's done a lot of truth bombs like that in the past couple of days, not knowing what's appropriate and whatnot. Just as an aside, which I do need to cover off, I feel like out of the mouths of babes and all of that stuff aside, he has absolutely hit the nail on the head, and it's been going around in my head all weekend that he was talking about his favourite YouTubers, and I said, well, surely that's me. And he said, I only really follow entertaining YouTubers. I was just like, oh, that's horrible. And that's not what he meant. And he didn't mean it to be a burn. He just meant he likes to watch ones that are little kid entertainment, ones like Ryan and stuff like that. But I took that as an absolute dagger to the heart. And I'm back on the whole, I don't know what to do a channel about when I'm not talking about this sort of stuff. But it's still important, it's still useful. I want to talk about this sort of stuff. I think eventually we'll find a pattern, a patter. I'm always open to suggestions, but that just made me laugh because he really caught me off guard. We had our SALT, our SALT, Speech and Language Therapy meeting on Friday. It went well in that it seems it was quite clear that there were things that they could pick up on. Claire's concerned off the back of it that basically they won't have enough information to do anything major with it. I'm not really sure what the paediatrician was expecting, because she said if they do half and I do half, like us and her, it'll be a full diagnosis and that'll be job done. We won't have to go through the ADOS, is that what's called, the clinic meeting, and all those tests. They can just do it together. What the lady at SALT said was, yeah, definite signs of, and then she was like, either autism or ADHD. She said that it was very clear. I don't really know, I mean, I don't know enough about ADHD to really query that or disagree, but one thing that she made a lot of comments on was, for example, they'd been in the room for less than 5 minutes and Ollie was so relaxed that he was putting toys on her head and stuff like that. It was really inappropriate kind of social interactions. He just seemed really at home with playing with her and being really open, and she commented on the fact that he, you know, is that normal, and we're like, yes, he doesn't have very good barriers with people, and you know, she was like, okay, I made a note of that. I haven't got the full report yet because I got Claire feeding it back to me. She couldn't remember everything they'd said, so I'm waiting for the proper run through. But the cliff notes that Claire was able to remember was they kept stressing how intelligent he was, which I'm not saying I disagree with that. I was surprised that they were saying he was like extra intelligent, which is a nice thing. It can explain a lot of things, perhaps. They mentioned something about, like, again, it's frustrating, I don't know what it was, but they mentioned that something in what they were scoring, he was scoring at the level of a 12-year-old, and then other things they were testing were more like a 7-year-old, which is nearly 7, and then other things were slightly younger, like 5. I didn't get the exact, I got the 7s and the 12s, but Claire wasn't sure how low the other numbers were, but she was confident they weren't as low as like 4, they were above 5. It was just they were a bit under. So that was interesting, because it was basically saying that in some bits he's way ahead and some bits he's behind and some bits he's on par. I don't think there was any below 5. I'm second guessing that myself now, but as I say, there was just kind of a message left on Claire's phone that she listened to once and it wasn't there when she tried to replay it, so it's a little bit frustrating that she couldn't like play that to me, or I wasn't the one that received it. But I'm intrigued to find out what it is that they thought, like whether it's like a problem solving or whether it's, you know, she said his language was behind. Weirdly, she was going to discharge him and then said, actually, no, I'm not. He still needs therapy. We were very confused as to what, maybe she'd got confused. I don't know. It's easy enough, isn't it? She might have seen another person that she needed to discharge and said 2 different things. But she said that she'll keep him on because he's still, you know, his speech isn't there. He's still got little bits to it that he needs to kind of learn and come past over time. So we'll see what happens. But no, it was interesting. They're passing that to the paediatrician. The paediatrician will make their decision. They'll do their part. Hopefully that will still be enough. I'm not holding my breath now because it feels a bit like the SALT lady was suggesting that we still pursue an ADOS diagnosis, which I believe we were told the doctor would do their bit over August, and if that wasn't enough, they'd do the ADOS in January. That's what it's booked for at the moment. So, fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it'll be sooner rather than later. I mentioned about school last week on Wednesday. School for Ollie has been, touch wood, absolutely fine for over a week now. He has had every day, he's been just fine, good, no problems at all, which feels great because I'm not getting phone calls. He's happy, nothing's really threatening anyone. But we did have a letter home. We knew that Ollie's one-to-one TA was leaving. We assumed perhaps she'd got another job, but what we've found is actually, it seems like, I'm not certain that this is exactly what's happened, but it seems like they've offered voluntary redundancies to a lot of the SLT team. Loads of very experienced long-term TAs have left. Our guess is, because what we've found is, I think like 8 of them have left the school, and now they're advertising for TAs on different job sites in the area. So we assume that what they've done is they've let all the ones who've been there, 'cause our one had been there 20 years, and a few of the other ones have been there that long as well. So we're thinking that they're actually clearing out the old guard, as it were, giving them redundancy, and then bringing in brand new juniors who will train up. But they have said to us that he won't qualify for a full, well, they just, even with the EHCP, he won't get a TA next year. Now, that really worried me at first, and we were told by his teacher for next year that if his EHCP comes back with enough coverage, enough funding, if it's the highest max level, then perhaps that would cover the cost of a TA to an extent. But they were kind of saying that he won't get a TA next year based on the way it all works. Now, I had a bit of a panic about that, but then I mentioned before that my colleague used to be a head at a special needs school, and she was doing the Boxall testing and everything, and she asked me to fill out the questionnaire for Oliver to go through what I felt the answer, because school basically said they didn't want to do it. But she said, well, you can answer it, and then we can look through your answers and decide how you feel he needs to be supported and so forth. So she went through it all over the weekend. I gave her my results last week sometime, and she went through it all, and she gave me back the chart, and it has, the way it kind of works is the things that you want your child to do, or all children to be like, a kind of, there's like a black line up high, and they measure how close to that they are, and then the kind of things you don't want them to have to go through, like negative feelings or whatever, the black line's quite low, and depending on how far or close to those you are, far away from or close to you are, depends on kind of how adjusted you are in that area. So we highlighted the kind of 4 or 5 key areas, and then we whittled that down to 3 focus points. But it was really fascinating reading Oliver's outcomes, because it really, the results showed very clearly the things we already know, that when he feels an injustice, or he's upset, or he backs up about something, or if he's told no about something, he gets on a spiral of getting upset, and which descends into a rampage if it's kind of left to stew like that. Now, what this kind of highlighted, the most important part about that was trust with adults. It was, if he trusts an adult, he's more likely to kind of calm and accept. So it's a mixture of how much he trusts the adult and his emotional contentness. Now, his emotional contentness is quite low in that, or away from where it should be. It's quite, I think it was, let's say it was out of 12 points, he was like a 4, and you need to be at 12, or vice versa. So the idea was he needs to be more comfortable with his emotions and more stable with his emotions. So at the moment, it means that he's quite prone to going from happy to sad quite quickly, because he's upset about something and it's quite a fragile situation for him. But that can solidify with support. That also builds from the trust part, which was a big problem in terms of, if he doesn't trust an adult, then when they're telling him no, he's going to be more likely to fight it and push it and get upset, and it's going to affect how fluid his emotions get with everything. And I'm probably not explaining it with enough justice. Like, if anyone wants to talk to me about it offline, in writing, because for their benefit, or if they want to learn something about it, I can share the notes I've got on it. But basically, it fits with a lot of the problem we've been having, where school were saying things to him like, come over here, I've got a surprise, and then when he came over, they were punishing him. And he was even saying, I shouldn't have trusted them, or they lied to me. Someone tells him something, you can play with this while we tidy up, and then somebody else comes in and says, you've got to tidy up. that is the constant thing that keeps happening at school. People keep telling him one thing and then, like, in his mind, in his world, betraying him. They're not doing it on purpose. You know, in that lying to him instance, they were doing it on purpose. That's a little bit kind of, you know, that's ruining things a bit. But the emotional part, I'm told, reading the advice, is about properly making sure he feels good about himself. You know, reaffirming when he's done good, showing him he's done good. And we were pointing out the fact that when he went on his school trip last month, they kept telling Claire how good he'd been, telling Claire he'd had a great day, but they never told him he'd had a great day. They never said, you know, Ollie, you've done an amazing job. We had to tell him that, and it never came from his teacher. And it's little things like that that we need to say to them, can we try and be a bit better at this? But it's hard to just dump that all on them and say, do it. But that's the sort of thing I want to really push. I mean, there was a lot more to the trust bit. It was a very deep kind of well that we went down of where the trust comes into it. But a lot of it was just being able to trust them when he's feeling really low and needs someone to turn to say, right, I feel low, I need to go over here. Being able to trust when they're telling him things, that he can believe them, that he can follow them. Just listening to them, having that rapport with them. It is about rapport. And I feel like I'm reassured that he's got a teacher next year that he really, really gets on with, and that really made an effort in there. She was with him 2 days last week. One of them was for his going into the next year day. She gave him like a certificate for sitting nicely on the mat, gave him a certificate for trying really hard at his work, told us he had an amazing day, told him he had an amazing day, and it was like she'd already done the things that this is telling us they need to do more of. So I was saying to my colleague, you know, it feels like his new teacher is doing all of those things already, and I'm quite excited about that. She did point out that what often happens in her experience is that kids get a teacher like that who's amazing all year with them, goes into the next year with this whole pack of stuff they should be doing, and that teacher doesn't because they think they know better or have their own plans, and then it all goes back. So she was like, don't think you're going to be completely fine after a year. It will go up and down, but this is something he needs to build on. We need to work with him. I've got like a whole page of things to read through that tell me, you know, what the scores mean, what we should try and do to help him lower or raise his score in that bit. And it's fascinating. She said we can do that because she's got the details, she's trained in it. We can do that every sort of 6 months or something, every 3-4 months. She did say 3 months, but 3 months from now will be after school holidays, so it's a bit too early. But she said we can go through that as often as I need to, just to see how he's getting on. And that feels quite cool. I don't know if there's any kind of way to do that online or learn it yourself, but I know that she was funded through a course and did all this stuff when she was acting, you know, as the head of the school and that, so it's a bit different. But no, I'm very happy. I feel very lucky that we've had a chance to go through that because it felt insightful. I had a chat with Claire about it. She's written me up the report, as I say, and there was just lots of stuff. I'm just going to have a photocopy of the book and stuff like that and just see what we can do. I do feel like it's been an interesting couple of weeks. He seems a lot better. He's happy with his one-to-one in the day, in the afternoon. The lady who comes in twice a week, that's still ridiculously expensive. I'm kind of... Claire and I were chatting yesterday. I think I've said this before. I definitely ranted about it on Twitter, but our childcare costs are the best part of £1,000 a month at the moment, and that will drop over the holidays, obviously loads. From September, Ben's will halve pretty much, maybe not quite. Ollie's will hopefully disappear because he'll be at school, but it's a nightmare. We've also been given a big load of paperwork about how half days are no longer, we're in control. If we want to send him back in all day, we can do it at a moment's notice. Ironically, we're now saying we don't want to do that. There's 2 weeks left of term. It would be insane to dump him in for a full day. It would be ridiculous to do that. Part of me wonders whether we should do that in the last week of term. I might talk to Claire about that. I don't know what her thoughts will be, but last week of term is usually a bit of a DOS week where you have fun. I don't know whether he'd get carried away with that or what, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll have a chat with her. Maybe we could do the last couple of days of the week and just see how it is. And Friday she's on standby, so because she's at home, so she could always nip in and get him if need be. But yeah, it's been an interesting one. I think the next step for us is the EHCP report on the 19th. Assuming nothing else happens between now and then, that is it. And then we know what happens. We can appeal anything we don't like. We can talk to them about plans. School ends on the 24th, I think it is. So actually, that won't be the Friday then, will it? That'll be like the Wednesday or something. So crikey, it's so close now. He's got such a little amount of time to go before it's 6 weeks off. He'll unlearn all the stuff he's learned, but we'll have a nice chilled out holidays. I don't know if I mentioned we cancelled our plans with the motorhome because the company, I did because I complained of ripping us off. They wanted to charge us twice the amount it bloody advertised at. So I'm a bit gutted about that. Our holiday plans are in complete disarray. We're probably just going to go back to going out a couple of times, and I'll try and do videos while I'm there, see where it goes. Yeah, that's it. Any ideas for videos or content or, you know, whatever, let me know. Any questions, let me know. All that usual stuff, subscribe, like, comment, and I'll catch up with you on Wednesday. Cheers.